Hello and a very warm welcome to this special podcast called Emotionally Yours with Pratik. And this is a podcast on emotional literacy, emotional well-being. And this is part of Mission 1 Million by Quantum Foundation. So please do subscribe, share and like this podcast in order to spread our Mission 1 Million of emotionally literate 1 million people. With us, we've got a very special guest today, Dr. Vishwas Chavan, who's been a researcher, a scientist, an explorer, and a relationship expert. And most importantly, somebody who loves to live his life his way. A very warm welcome to you, Dr. Vishwas, and very warm welcome on this special podcast called Emotionally Yours with Pratik. So,
Pratik, first of all, thank you very much for inviting, and greetings to all for the wonderful life that we all wish to live. It's such a pleasure to be with you, Pratik, and we have been talking about life on and off for a couple of years now, and I probably never thought we'll have a formal setting like this. So thank you very much for organizing this podcast. I have looked at some of the earlier episodes, and I must say that this is the timely initiative at a right time in right place of human history. So thank you for doing this.
A big thanks, and let me tell you that this is not a formal setup, Vishwas. We met around 5 years back, and this is going to be as candid and as open conversation as we used to have earlier. All right. So, Vishwas, let us talk about a little bit about the kind of work that you've done so far, the kind of life that you've led, and how emotions played an important role. So, people, let me tell you that I have heard Vishwas' story from his own mouth, and it's absolutely fun to listen to the story the way he narrates. So over to you, Vishwas.
See, I'm a very lower middle class family boy from this very city of Pune. My dad came to this city in 1966 with a dhoti, a shirt, hammer, and a few tools, and 1 rupee 25 paisa in his pocket.
Oh.
And my early childhood had been in the slums of Mangalwarpet in this very city. My mom is the asthmatic patient as much as I am old, but an amazing woman. And I learned quite a lot from my parents. I had my primary education in Agarkar High School, which is founded by the great freedom fighter Agarkar. And then my secondary education at New English School Ramanpag, which is founded by Gopal Krishna Gokhale and Lokmanya Tilak. I had a stint in Ferguson College. I equally had a stint in Navroji Wadia College. So I had seen different types of Pune. And then I did my master's in environmental sciences from University of Pune. Life has been an amazing journey, Pratik. In fact, I always called my life has been a orgasm of love affair with life itself and its accidents and incidences. That's what life shapes about. And emotions, as you say, play a very important role. And, we all are born with feelings.
True.
Unfortunately, what we today call as emotions is the outbreak and the outburst of untapped feelings. And we need to demystify that.
That's a lovely, lovely anecdote, Vishwas, that you've told me about orgasm of life. And I'm going to tell you people that Vishwas is not only a scientist, a scholar, a researcher, but he has done considerable work on physical intimacy and emotions. And that's where the term orgasm comes from. Now, from being a researcher, from environmental science to biodiversity, etc., how did you decide to go towards something which till date is a very, very taboo area in Indian society? I'm sure you've traveled all across in Scandinavian countries, in European countries, in various Asian countries, Latin American countries, for that matter, across the globe. And the land of Kama Sutra, the land of 𝙎𝙪𝙖𝙮 has always made its own ancient wisdom a real taboo. So what's your opinion on that, A? And B, what made you to go towards this topic to take it up as something that would transform lives of people?
I didn't make this as a very decisive choice. It happened. Because one thing that I always wanted is I wanted to feel good within myself. So that's my first unspoken, unrealized cardinal rule. So when I want to feel good in myself, that means I have to rebel against a lot of established norms, which is what I have been doing since a child. My dad wanted me to be a chemist. I ended up becoming an environmentalist. My dad wanted me to come and work in this very city. I started my first job in Goa as a marine biologist. From there on to Hyderabad as a bioinformatician. And as the destiny would hold, I did come back to this city. And, before going to intimacy and the other aspects of life that we would like to talk in this particular podcast, अगर आप कुछ चीज शिद्दत से चाहो तो आपको वो मिलती है. My dad always dreamt that I should come to Pune and a laboratory where he was a carpenter. I should come there as an officer.
Wow.
And it took me around 7 plus 4, 11 years. And after 11 years, I came in the same office and I used the same table and chair which my dad has crafted once upon. So I also a great believer in hope, in written as well as spoken missions and dreams in life. And believe me, to succeed in life, what you need is the intimacy with yourself.
Intimacy with yourself.
With yourself.
Now, that's a very, very unusual thing we've ever heard of, isn't it? Let's talk about intimacy with yourself. Has it got more to do with self-love, self-reflection? Is that what you're saying?
When I say intimacy with yourself, it's being utterly truthful to who you are at the core of your Atma. I give a very funny example. You have been stripped naked in a jail, put on the ice platform, and you have been heated with the belt. And yet, you will say, I didn't do this. No matter what you have going through at that particular point, the tremendous pain, injuries. That to me is a real truthness of an human being. So, no matter what circumstances are around, you don't change. You are only saying what you truly believe, and that true belief with yourself, within yourself, without any fear or favor, is what I call being intimate with yourself.
So what you're saying is, A, accept things which are, according to you, are only in line with your value systems. And even if the whole world conspires you to be away or not in line with your value systems simply stand there, no matter whether they like it, they don't like it. Am I correct in saying that?
You are absolutely right. And I think that value system is very much important in today's context. The way I say that it is important in today's context, because if you ask me which is the greatest disease or a kind of a pandemic in the world today, that is lack of love. Lack of love for yourself, lack of love for people who you call loved ones, and lack of love for humanity and the nature as a whole. If there is one disease, then it is that lack of love. And that lack of love disease can only be cured by you yourself and you being utterly intimate with yourself. Now, that's very easy, but very difficult to practice because we have been hypnotized by society to be all this makeup man, superficial guy, where we fake a lot. And, as we will speak, people fake a lot in relationship and people fake a lot in profession. People fake a lot in their professions and businesses that they do. So we are in this business of faking. But then, as the democracy is defined and understood by us, when the whole mob fakes, it becomes a new standard. It becomes a new normal. So faking has become a new normal. And unless the best place to deconstruct, demolish that faking disease is not by torturing and tearing up the another person. It requires to be disruptive with your own self. Once you try to disrupt your construct of life, your idea of life, and ask yourself, who am I? Who am I really is? And the moment you get that answer to who you are a free guy. You're a free woman. You're a free child. And that is the moment that you are truly intimate with yourself.
Great. So this talks about disruption, deconstruction, and rediscovering yourself. Will that be appropriate to say that from time to time we keep evolving emotionally, we keep evolving physically, and we keep evolving on a spiritual level, where we talk about self-actualization being one of the aspects of spirituality, and which of course is impacted by emotions, right? Let me take you back to the earlier quote that you've spoken about, wearing a mask and everything put together. That reminds me of a famous line by 𝙎𝙗𝙗𝙗𝙗, where he spoke about चेहरे पर चेहरे हैं, दाग बड़े गहरे हैं. Okay, it was very, very profound when we listened to the entire poem. Now, let me just take you to this aspect. I'm sure during your research work, during your scholar work, and during your relationship programs that you had. So let me really ask you, from time to time, you've coached people on relationship enrichment, where you came across this fakeness in relationship, etc. And you have considered both emotions as well as physical intimacy as one of the aspects. How open were people to listen to it? A. B. In relationship breakdowns, we normally see that it's primarily because the communication has broken down. And the communication breaks down because there's no emotional connect. But at the same time, intimacy plays an important role for both the physical intimacy as well as the emotional connect. So share some experiences that you might have gathered and put your views around.
Okay, so Pratik, before we even go to that, let me just deconstruct a little bit more.
Sure.
What we call as an emotions are, in a very spiritual sense, They are the outburst of negativity that is compacted within us for a while. And they are those momentary outbursts. So you get angry. That's an emotion.
Right.
You won the match and you dance in the stadium. That's an emotion.
Correct.
Okay. But emotions are momentarily. So after an emotion, there is a frustration. Because today I am angry with you, so I would shout at you, you will yell at me. When there is a silence, we both will feel frustrated. कि अरे यार ये moment नहीं होता तो अच्छा होता. So that is an emotion. But emotion is not true feeling. There is a gap between feeling and emotion.
Right.
Love is a feeling. Because feeling is a conscious thought that continues no matter whether you have been feared or favored. For instance, my mom's affection for me, my mom's love for me would continue to remain no matter who am I. I can be burglar, I can be prime minister, I can be chore, gunda, still she would love me because it is a conscious thought. That conscious thought she has perceived beyond doubt because I am the most intimate thing for her. You know, to nurture me for 9 months in her womb, in the most sacred part of her body, and to go through that delivery pain, I am the most intimate man in her life.
Correct.
And so she has that conscious thought that I love no matter who it is. Emotions, on the other hand, if I may bluntly say, is sometimes people who meet because of infatuation. कि आपका बाहरी चेहरा कैसे है, आप दिखते कैसे है, तो मुझे आपसे प्यार हो गया. वो प्यार जो है ना, वो एक फीलिंग्स का ट्रैप्ड आउटबर्स्ट है कि यार ये लड़की दिखने में अच्छी है, ये मेरी बीवी होने लायक हो सकती है, तो मैं जाके मेरा प्यार जताऊं. बिकॉज you are looking at different bodies in the market. This body appears to be a good body, so I should be next to that body. So that is emotion. That love is emotion. But the love that probably I have for my daughter is not the love that I may express to others in my life. Because that is a conscious thought that this is my child, this is my son, this is my sister, this is my leader, this is my teacher. So that is a conscious thought, and that conscious thought is unchanged. So that's the feeling. What we are really needing in life is people with feelings. And not people with emotions. Because emotions will have going up, going down, going up, going down, going up, going down. That values of down or valleys of down word trend will cause frustration. And that's why everybody is frustrated.
It's always said that one moment of patience during one moment of anger can avoid a lot of moments of regret in the future. So what you talk about is the right amount. In emotional intelligence, we always call it as self-regulation. The earlier example that you give, that, you're looking at various bodies, you're shopping for the bodies which you feel is right, is more of a lust than love. And we term it as love for that moment. And momentary aspects of emotions are the ones that you try and reflect it later.
Correct. And then you get trapped. You feel trapped for life because, human being
right
is born polygamous. Society wanted us to have some discipline, have some order. So फिर ये संस्थाएं आई जिसमें one man one woman relationship is called marriage or companionship or living together. If you ask those who are in marriage or those who are in compassion, don't they feel lusty about another person partner in their life? Or don't they want to have another partner in life? They do. But society said कि नहीं, अब एक बार तुम्हारे घरले में ये घंटा लटका दी गई है ना, तो इसी घंटा के साथ जिंदगी गुजारो,
बचते रहो घंटे के जैसा,
बस. So you feel trapped.
Correct.
And because of that trapped feeling, you don't express yourself. You are never intimate because you are trapped. यार मैं गलती से बोल दूंगा कि आज तुम अच्छी नहीं दिख रही हो, तो उसको क्या महसूस होगा? So you suppress your feelings. Your feeling is that at that point that आप अच्छी नहीं दिख रही हो, लेकिन बोल नहीं पाओगे.
You fake it.
You fake it. That means you are not intimate with yourself.
Right.
When you are not intimate with yourself, how you could be intimate with your partner or for that matter with your school, for that matter with your job, or even with your country. We are not at all intimate with our nation. Our Deshbhakti is also faked one.
Yeah.
That is why it reflects more on
WhatsApp
messages. But how many of us will dare to stand for this country to be truly a progressive nation? How many of us will say that I don't eat for next couple of days because there are crores of other citizens are sleeping hungry? You know, our fakeness has also been given another term. And that term is called charity. I do a charity. So you are taught to do charity. Even when you go to the God, you are doing charity. कि आज मैंने भगवान को 10 नारियल चढ़ाए. आपसे किसी ने मांगा नहीं था, but you have traded कि यार मैं पास हो जाऊंगा तो तेरे दरवाजे पे फिर एक बार आऊंगा. यार वो लड़की से मेरा रिश्ता करा दो, हम दोनों शादी के बाद पहले आपके पास आएंगे. Okay, so our way of devotion is also a pretty much faked way of worshipping, because you don't worship yourself. To worship somebody, you first have to be intimate with yourself unapologetically.
True.
And then you have to be intimate with that person when that person is ready to be intimate with herself or himself. Okay. And that's very, very important in relationships. Unfortunately, in our construct of society today, our relationship is just as a professional arrangement.
More of a transaction.
More of a transaction. Okay. And I have been working with many couples around the globe and across the nationalities.
Right.
Couples do fake their relationships, and which is why it is called relationship. It's a ship which has which has two sides. So even before you get into the formal agreement, you know it is going to go break. क्योंकि जहाज के एक साइड से आप चढ़ते हो, कुछ समय तक एक दूसरे के साथ चलते हो, और फिर जब तक आप दूसरे सिरे पे पहुंच जाते हो ना, बहुत बड़ा समुंदर है, खो जाते हो. बट सर्वाइवल करना है तो वही किनारों पे लटक जाते हैं. तो बहुत सारे रिश्ते लटके हुए मिलेंगे आपको.
Beautiful analogy. That reminds me when I was a student of anthropology during my graduation days, I have very closely studied the polygamy in human beings. And that's where I came across a beautiful book by Dr. Mangala Samant in Marathi called Lagnaच्या उत्क्रांतीचा इतिहास, where you absolutely said it right, that marriage is an imposed institution. And many of us believe that now it's failed institution, because over the period of time, it has proven itself to be an unhappy arrangement for both the partners. And as a result, then you had polygamy coming back again in various hidden forms, in terms of affairs, in terms of open marriages, in terms of relationships which are live-in, where there are no commitments from either side, because we essentially have been polygamous in our nature. Having said that, there is a lot of emotional turmoil that goes on because of the societal, parental pressure, economic pressure, whatsoever. And then people react in different manners to these things. But being true to yourself and making sure that your partner is true to himself or herself with an unapologetic, your word, okay, not mine, by the way, and unparalleled, that's my word, unparalleled commitment and acceptance for each other the way we are, without expecting for us to change. Will that be appropriate to say?
Well, it will be appropriate to be that way, because at least by that way you have a chance to be sustainable in your so-called relationship. Okay. You have less chance to be frustrated that way. What we require in relationship, Pratik, is first to be true to yourself at your core. Second, to be intimate with yourself, which means that even before you want to experience a physical intimacy with somebody, you need to experience intimacy with yourself. And there are different ways of having that intimate moment for yourself. One of the way that we need to do is what I call is this Vimoka ritual.
Vimoka.
Vimoka ritual. Vimoka is a Sanskrit word which means to drop, okay, or to get rid of. So what is it about? You know, you have this cup. Your body is like a cup. In this body, from childhood, you are feeling some inputs. कि बेटा चींटी को मत छूना, काट जाएगी. स्कूल में फर्स्ट नंबर नहीं आएगा तो मैं आपको अम्यूजमेंट पार्क नहीं ले जाऊंगी. तो ये सारे इनपुट्स हो गए हैं. ये कचरा इसमें भरा हुआ है, लेकिन वो कचरा कभी बाहर ही नहीं आ रहा है. सो हाउ यू कैन बी ट्रू टू योरसेल्फ? सो वन ऑफ द थिंग दैट वी डू एंड आई रिकमेंड is that you take a pen and paper and you journal. You write down. लिखते वक्त आपका जो फीलिंग है वो उस पेन से कागज पे कनेक्ट होगा. So you want to start writing your day to day and you will end up writing some childhood trauma that you have gone. Now उसको बाहर निकालना जरूरी है. And in Vimoka ritual, we encourage people to write it down, read it aloud, laugh over it, cry over it, have that bout of anger with yourself, and then we either burn that journal or immerse it in the water. तो गंगा पार हो गया. इसका मतलब अब मैं एम्प्टी हो गया. एम्प्टी होने के बाद मैं अपने आप से प्यार कर सकता हूं या किसी और का प्यार मैं रिसीव कर सकूंगा. सो दैट गेटिंग एम्प्टी इज अ फर्स्ट स्टेप टू बी इंटीमेट. Unfortunately, nobody wants to get empty.
True.
And once you get empty, then you will allow another person to be empty. The truest intimacy happens in the moment of nothingness, which means you are two physical bodies with no thoughts whatsoever, but allowing two bodies to interact with each other whichever way the body wants to interact.
No conditions apply.
No conditions apply. What happens in today's relationship, and especially the physical intimacy, we are all living in imagination. What we see, what we read in novels, what we see in movies, what you see in pornographic films. So we are all living in imagination. उसके बेडरूम में वो हुआ था, उसके प्यार में वो ऐसे पेड़ के आगे पीछे दौड़े थे, तो मेरे भी रिश्ते में वही होना चाहिए.
Correct.
Unfortunately, there are two tracks of imagination. A woman, a feminine, is always in a backtracked imagination. उसको सब पीछे वाला याद आता है कि इसकी माँ ने मुझे ये ताना दिया था, इसके घर वाले ऐसे हैं. For a man, it is a forward imagination. कि वो जब इंटीमेट भी है ना, तो वो आराधना के साथ इंटीमेट है, लेकिन ख्वाब ऐश्वर्या के देख रहा है. ओके, वो आज अपने बीवी के साथ या पार्टनर के साथ मोस्ट इंटीमेट मोमेंट पे है, लेकिन वो दिमाग में कल क्या प्रेजेंटेशन देना है उसका प्रैक्टिस कर रहा है. सो थिंक अबाउट इट.
It's
You are
terrible.
bodily naked. One is a backtrack moment. One is a fast forward moment. There is a distance.
Yeah.
Where is the intimacy?
Correct.
There is no closeness. Bodies are physically together.
And
But
then you fake orgasm.
Then you fake orgasm because A, he is not able to satisfy me. B, she is not following and she is not cooperating with me because I cannot sustain for longer duration. So to overcome that premature eruptions or ejaculations, you will always taunt. तुम तो ऐसे ही करती हो, तुमको ये वाला नहीं जमता है, वो वाला तुम कभी करना नहीं चाहती हो. But you never allowed her to be true to herself and open up and invite you to be her man. So ये बड़ा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड सा है. एक्चुअली कॉम्प्लिकेट हमने बना दिया है क्योंकि ना आजकल का जमाना दिखावे का है. द मोर कॉम्प्लिकेटेड यू मेक सर्टन थिंग्स, उसकी वैल्यू बहुत ज्यादा है.
People start intellectualizing that.
People start intellectualizing it.
Correct.
People feel कि यार जो महंगा मिलता है वही प्योर होगा.
True.
ओके, तो फिर आपको मस्कारा लगा के जाना पड़ता है, आपको हेयर स्पा करना पड़ता है. बट अल्टीमेटली व्हाट यू सी अ नेकेड बॉडी इज विदाउट ऑल दैट. एंड देन आपका जो बबल है ना वो पूरा बर्स्ट हो जाता है कि यार ये तो नहीं मैंने देखा था दोपहर में, ये शाम होते होते ये क्या आ गया मेरे सामने. ओके, एंड देन people, male, usually get into that frustration and they cannot hold their erection.
Is there a biological reason to it in terms of, certain men above 40s get into this problem, or certain women in mid 40s onwards are more fine-tuned to menopause, and, then the libidos are different because A, they are carrying a lot of emotional baggage about each other. B is there's a problem and in the biological aspects, and emotionally there's no outlet to it, and then the emotional discord and disconnect happens.
So I wouldn't completely deny that there are no biological reasons at all. Yes, there are medical conditions, there are some biological reasons, there are some physical challenges, but होता क्या है ना, 40 आते आते हम थक गए हैं यार दिखावा कर करके। तो अब इतना थक गए हैं ना कि इससे आगे नहीं हो सकता है यार, जो 40 साल में नहीं हुआ
वो
अब
नहीं
क्या
है।
होगा, तो इससे अच्छा छोड़ ही दो।
So emotional reasons,
So these are all
feelings,
all
emotions.
those negative feelings and a huge frustration in terms of fulfillment of life, a truly fulfilled life, and therefore we get tired. But actually, that means your body is calling for a healing. That means your body simply want a time with itself. Okay? Which is why we need to slow down. Body can only heal if you slow down. If you find a moment of solitude for yourself. And then, therefore, you see now in the spiritual world, there are many practices being preached कि आपको meditation करना चाहिए. Meditation क्या है? It is a way to slow your pace, number one. Number two, it is a way to allow yourself to feel yourself. Okay? कि मेरे अंदर अभी क्या चल रहा है, मेरे गट से क्या आवाज आ रहा है, मेरे पैर से क्या आवाज आ रहा है, मेरा बाल, कौन सा बाल डिफिकल्टी में है और कौन सा बाल उड़ने की आशा लगा के बैठा हुआ है. ओके? मेरी दिल की आवाज सुनने की जो बात करते हैं, वो दिल की आवाज मतलब इन सब चीजों की आवाज है. और आज की शोर शराबे की जिंदगी में आप वो आवाज सुन नहीं पा रहे हो.
True.
और जब आप सुन नहीं पा रहे हो और आप फ्रस्ट्रेट हो, तो और आप और आवाज करते हो ताकि आपका रोना भी आपको सुनने को ना मिले. सो वी नीड टू बी स्लोइंग डाउन, नंबर वन. We need to sit down with ourselves, number two. And then in our relationship, we need to build a polarity. We need to allow our partner, himself or herself, to be with himself and herself. And then you come and decide a moment when you want to copulate, when you want to have an union together. You know, अब क्या होता है आजकल की जिंदगी में, आप शाम को थके हारे घर आए और आपको एक उत्तेजना होती है कि यार आज इंटीमेसी होनी चाहिए. तो आप बोलते हो जल्दी जल्दी तैयार हो जा, आज मेरा मूड कर रहा है.
ओके.
वो आपका मूड है भाई, उसका तो मूड नहीं है.
ट्रू.
वो तो ये सोच के बैठी है कि आज मेरी जिंदगी में जो जो हुआ वो मैं इसको बताऊंगी अगले 45 मिनट. और आप सोच रहे हैं कि 4.5 मिनट में काम खत्म करके निकल जाना है क्योंकि कल सुबह फिर ऑफिस में जाना है. तो ये कश्मकश है, उसमें हम एक दूसरे को टाइम ही नहीं दे रहे.
And that is where we talk about, why it's important, to make time for yourself, be with yourself, the space that you need to give each other in a relationship, and most importantly, accept and understand the person the way he or she is. Different bodies will have different needs, and we need to respect all the bodies, all the needs, not because we are in a relationship, because we genuinely have feelings to understand and accept. And what you're talking about is a planned intercourse, which is more of a marital rape than anything else. Pardon me for my words, but I always believe that a significant chunk of our population is a product of marital rape. Would I be prudent to say that?
No, you are in a way right. Okay. It can be seen as a criminal terminology because everybody is doing it. And see, because everybody is doing it, we all want to make it normalize.
Right.
कि ये ठीक है.
Right, right.
बट मैन वुमन रिलेशनशिप में एक चीज़ आपको याद रखनी चाहिए, स्पेशली मर्दों को याद रखनी चाहिए
Mm-hmm.
कि फॉर अ वुमन टू बी रेडी
Mm-hmm.
she requires a lot of time.
That's where we talk about foreplay.
That's why our Kama Sutra talks about foreplay.
Right.
Foreplay does not mean any play. Foreplay, in a way, means allowing her the time to announce that she's ready.
Mm.
Okay? Which means you loosen her up or comfort her up to an extent that she feels that it is not a compulsion anymore on her.
Correct. It happens naturally.
It happens naturally. And you know, for men, they can't hold it erect for a while. So उनके लिए ये होता है, अब मैं erect हूँ, तो चलो खत्म कर देते हैं.
True.
Believe me one thing, that bodies always want to make a love. But not at your orders
Or your pace.
or your pace. Bodies want to make love at their telling. So I always suggest people to do simple thing. Is that if you sit down in front of each other, doing nothing, just gazing into each other's eyes, rest of the chemistry will happen
On its own.
on its own.
Fantastic.
But you need to then schedule 2, 3, 4 hours time for yourself, because you never know when that chemistry will be at its peak.
Okay.
It can be sometimes in 30 minutes, other time in 2 hours, sometime never.
Oh yeah.
But you will still have an orgasm and multiple orgasms.
True.
Okay. So what I teach couple is to A, slow down, B, allow another person to announce you that I am willing to go ahead, and C, allow another person to say, hey, let's wait, let's stop, let's move on. You know, so having an intimate moment is less of a physical
Aspect.
or physical act. It's more of
Emotional.
or a true feelings act, where your body automatically speak that feeling to the corresponding part of another person.
Fantastic. That tells a lot about your work and your study.